managed to execute on it. So the fact that they now lose out on the Ryze, pretty significant here. Ultra Prime looking towards potentially taking the Corki themselves.
Team WE on that blue side this time around, switching up every game so far. Kennen, TF, Thresh banned away. A lot of that mobility and the strength for Aliez last game. Like
I'm gonna say not this again, but Jace banned, so
yeah,
this makes sense.
It does, and it all works out, it seems. Things are panning out just how they wanted to, but that Ryze for Team WE is going to be terrifying. Corki 2 times for ShiauC, 1-1, but now the Ryze coming out finally. The Jinx locked in for Elk, though. And you can see why with the amount of proactivity this Jinx pick has had so far.
Yeah, and the thing is as well is that Jace and Kennen are banned. These are both picks you normally take. Oh, Karma Ezreal. So we saw a bit of this from EDG. A lot of pressure in the bot lane from this. You kind of need something to answer that. And interestingly enough, they're not going to commit to a support now. It's not looking like. Does mean that you potentially have a rough matchup in the 2v2. One thing I will say is there's a lot of options Ultra Prime to take here. The Corki, you know, long range double rocket composition. I think when it comes to this stage, Ultra Prime can look towards top lane picks because there's only a couple left that actually do well into Gwen. Things like the Akali, the Jax, they could look in that direction. Could also just ban away junglers that might cause concern. Remember, there's no engage on WE right now, right? That's a critical thing. The volley bear we've talked about before syncs very well with the Ryze. Because you have the Karma, you want something that can charge in. WE, Xin Zhao definitely will be banned here for sure. I'm certain of it. Too good with this front to back composition with the Gwen. And then for Ultra Prime, yeah, I think junglers here, just engaged junglers, are probably your main concern in this situation.
Yeah, not giving BiuBiu any comfort or anything along those lines. The proactivity for BiuBiu being important himself, but it's that link up with Kedaya that needs to be going off flawlessly. And they even got that last game. It didn't work out for them. So definitely looking for the priority and picks to go up a little bit more in that jungle, see what they want to give them. The Jax banned away, as you were kind of mentioning.
Yeah, Jax, one of the champions that can answer this Gwen. The Nautilus will get banned away as something that can potentially apply pressure onto WE's bot lane. I feel like here Ultra Prime could just take a jungler in this situation, but support also an option. I feel like they're pretty flexible if there's something that they really want to prioritize. If they want to be able to aggress on the enemy bot lane, Leona is probably the standout, but really have a lot of choice. It's going to be a rough matchup into the Ezreal Karma. A lot of poke, a lot of harass. Now looking towards the Hecarim, I really like this, partially just because it's a denial, right? You have a Karma with movement speed. WE need engage, I feel, with that composition. Yeah. So I think a lot of value in taking the Hecarim themselves. You can see WE looking towards the Viego. Viego is a decent matchup into Hecarim, can shred through him and then, you know, obviously steal him. Also does well into Gwen, but it does mean that WE don't have that reliable go button so far.
Yeah, so far. I still am so sold on Hecarim for LPL junglers. It just enables them so well. You get the trigger pull from the Onslaught of Shadows and everything that follows in after that, and especially in the double range composition, the double rocket composition, it all adds up very, very nicely. But the Akali locked in for Team WE, they're changing things up just a little bit.
Yeah, so Akali is like the last pick left that people take into Gwen. That's a good matchup. Because normally it's like Jace is like the best. Kennen neutralizes it in team fights well. Jax can beat the side lane later, but Akali post 6 there is kill pressure, so WE kind of having the last available. In the composition, they have that roaming potential from the Ryze, good skirmishing in the early levels, and a lot of pressure bot. When it comes to team fights, Ultra Prime, so much engaged potential, so much strength. I really feel like WE, this is their game to take control of and charge forwards on, because if they end up taking it late and they aren't ahead, I really think Ultra Prime should just have this one in the bag.
Yeah, it all comes down to that ease of execution again, right? And I feel like this game in particular means a lot in that fashion, where Team WE went with a little bit of that extra spice, maybe trying to get that snowball, trying to get that early advantage for themselves. But if they don't, as you said, it gets a little bit more difficult, and that bar of execution is so much easier on the side of Ultra Prime. Love that we get stay on the Ezreal. Love that we get the Karma for the bot lane. But again, I want to reiterate, the main focus is for both these teams. What gets these teams wins? It is Team WE getting BiuBiu and Kedaya together. This time around, that's not the option as much. Kedaya on the Enchanter, on the Karma. On the other side, we have Cryin and Elk, the main carries for Ultra Prime, and Hacker trying to facilitate that. It all comes down to this final game of the first series of the night. With all these champions, with all this chaos, the craziness that we've had in this best of 3 already, I am locked in and ready to go as Team WE taking on Ultra Prime in the final game of our first series of the night.
The big one for either side if they can secure this win. WE kind of on the edge of any series loss might just end up locking out them out of playoffs in the long term. We normally say 9 wins is kind of where you want to be in line for playoffs. WE would have to win every single series from now on, including this one, to hit that 9 wins. So still possible if they lose today, but it becomes really, really difficult. Now, I think the big thing to talk about here is potential jungle pathing. So I think for BiuBiu, you definitely want to path towards bot lane. This Ezreal Karma are going to be pushing in early, batting priority, threatening. You need to be able to cover them. The Ryze also will have priority, so you can sort of be on that bot side and have both lanes able to move. For Hacker, top lane is kind of your lane that's going to have prior early. I did talk about how the Akali is favorable this matchup. Not level 1. Takes a bit for the Akali to get going. Her level 1 is atrocious. Alternatively, if he did end up heading towards bot side, he could look for a gank, but I think it's so risky. And you'll see, right, just as I'm kind of talking about, BiuBiu is heading top side, he will path towards bot. Hacker is heading bot side, will path towards top. So won't really interact too much on that first play with each other, I wouldn't expect.
And we got to see a little bit of that interesting jungle pathing last time around. I doubt we'll get it this time around. We don't have the Lee Sin, right? That early aggression as well, the easy mobility there. But still, the skirmishing for both of these junglers is still going to be pretty prominent in this one. And we'll see where those first kind of targets lie, I guess, for both these junglers. But this one is set up a lot more for both of them to really have something to say here. A lot like what we had last game, but it was Hacker taking advantage of it.
Absolutely. And there is like a brief window, right, where Viego's still on the top side. That Hacker could do his blue camps and then head down, but I think he's already quite low on his clear. I don't think it's a good idea. It's so risky when sums are available to WE. And Ultra Prime is actually a very fast push from WE on wave 1, which means Ultra Prime actually managed to match the level 2. The problem is anytime ShiauC isn't engaging, he's just standing there taking poke. It's so painful.
Look at this, though. We got BiuBiu going for that aggressive invade, just like he had done previously in this series, trying to steal away the red while Hacker is doing his chickens. But this is a Hecarim. It's a lot quicker of a clear than last time on the Sejuani. Be making his way over to the red buff. We'll get our first kerfuffle here, but Hacker decides to give it up, realizes the red buff is in a finicky spot.
Yeah, critical thing is Shie already moving over to cover the power of that mid priority, right? Aliez could have moved, but so far away in the top lane, wouldn't be there in time. And critically, you can't punish the Hecarim earlier, right? He doesn't have the flash available. Not super strong. Oh, they're actually looking. They're not even going to let Hacker get the scuttle.
Hacker immediately bolted down to this bot side, was pathing like he wanted to go for an invade, but BiuBiu was meeting him right there. He was making sure that Hacker, if he goes into the enemy jungle, will be worse for wear. Hacker does get the scuttle crab, though.
Yeah, so able to get something, but still obviously not ideal on this Hecarim. We'll head up towards the top side, and actually, if he reads this, could end up just grabbing the double scuttle. But the problem is now he's moving away from his bot lane once again, and look how much trouble Elk and ShiauC are having right now, just being pushed under the tower and harassed.
Really rough down in the bot side. The heal back as well that Kedaya provides on the Karma is huge, as we see Hacker complete the double scuttle. Will be looking for a dive on a BiuBiu up here. Ignite is available for BiuBiu, but no defensive summoner spells here. And Hacker starting up the devastating charge. BiuBiu in some trouble here. He gets hit and he's dead. First blood for Hacker.
Good angle, right? There's no shroud available for the Akali. That's one of the biggest tools to make dives difficult, because if you get aggro and she hits W, can't really hit her for that period of time. So nice punish. And this is when you want to really apply pressure in this lane. You can see Aliez winning out here. Post level 6 is when things get scary, especially level 9 for the Akali, when her Q is maxed. So good job from Ultra Prime to capitalize. But on the bot side, all BiuBiu has to do is just show his face here, and it's very difficult for Ultra Prime to step up. Fortunately, we do see Stay take a tower hit, but look at the harass and poke that just ends up coming down. This is the power of that Ezreal Karma, just constant prio, constant harass, constant poke.
The thing is, though, there is a quick turnaround on Ultra Prime's bottom lane, right? ShiauC gets a good engage. The Glacial Augment connects, and Elk backing up the damage with the fish bones. That does hurt, and the health bars are not that tanky for Team WE with that bottom lane, but it's still a lot of pressure to deal with for Ultra Prime.
And the problem is now at this point, there's such a health advantage with WE. There's also like cleanse on Stay, so Stay's not a great option. It becomes a little bit tricky in the 2v2, but they are actually looking for a gank here from Hacker. I think WE can sense it. They know their jungler's topside, right? They know this is the window where they can't go super aggressive. And I'll be honest, ShiauC, that was a little bit telegraphed, right? This whole time, you're kind of like hugging the tower and then suddenly just charge forward. Yeah, it kind of seems a bit sus.
Just a little bit, maybe. Yeah, letting his cards show a little bit easier this time around. But Hacker headed back up towards his top side will be invaded on by BiuBiu. He takes the chicken.
And continue to do so, right? I feel like that's the main thing, is you're putting this Hecarim behind. This is something, if anyone remembers the Hecarim Udyr meta we had earlier last year, where Udyr, who is like an aggressive fast clearer, would just cut the Hecarim out the game and constantly invade him. It's obviously a different matchup here, but still BiuBiu applying that concept, challenging the Hecarim early. We saw Ultra Prime trying to make moves down bot, but WE's mid jungle will stop them. Won't allow anything to really come of that.
It's just so interesting that how quickly BiuBiu is able to turn around the movement from Hacker. Hacker has tried to go for the response every time that BiuBiu has invaded, but every time BiuBiu cuts him off on the invade into his jungle. And it's just really good timing from Team W and BiuBiu in particular as they take the first dragon of the game.
Yeah, easy pickup. And this was what WE need to do. Use that early priority on the bot side to find favor. We do see top is a fair bit behind, right? And obviously the Akali doesn't win this matchup early, but still missing out a lot of farm. That dive hurting BiuBiu as well in the matchup. But I can't remember specifically which game it was, but we had this matchup before where the Akali was down like 0-2, 0-3 and still managed to solo kill the Gwen. It gets really bad later on for the Gwen if the Akali can find the all-in.
And BiuBiu himself definitely wants to make that happen against the Aliez, who on that last game on the Kennen was a big reason why Team WE were having so much trouble, and especially the top lane matchup was not going BiuBiu's favor. So maybe a little bit of revenge there coming into this game. We'll see if that pans out for BiuBiu later on in the game, though, as we did get resets coming out for both junglers, at least from Hacker, and now BiuBiu is resetting as we speak. But it's going to be a next little lull period until about 30-45 seconds the Rift Herald spawn.
Yeah, and that's what we'll see. Cryin usually grab the package for right to play for that. I do think that WE, there's a very good chance that they could just make their way over there first. You can already see Kedaya in the vicinity and ShiauC obviously there as well. But now the reset comes in for that package. But WE, they're not really giving space. They're just constantly pushing in this mid lane, trying to poke ShiauC out as soon as possible.
You see the entirety of Team WE is to this top side, except for Stay, who has to stay in the bottom lane. Team WE using this moment, using this tempo to their advantage.
Yeah, and I think at this point, probably can just start it up. The package is coming in. They're actually fishing for a pick here onto ShiauC.
The ward comes out. ShiauC caught there, though, and just deleted. Kedaya gets the kill.
Yeah, they got the harass down, got this Leona low HP, and all it took was that route into a kill there. ShiauC really not expecting it. And now they should just be able to start up this Herald. In fact, Kedaya applying pressure onto Cryin.
He's doing so much damage.
Package.
Yeah. Cryin is not winning that trade right now. He needs to hit a couple more rockets, but now Aliez, Hacker here as well. Team WE go there onto Cryin, but he uses the package out.
Yeah, they forced the package, but Ultra Prime bought time for ShiauC to come back. So I still think WE are happy with the turn of events, but now it is 4v4 once again. Herald is getting lower. We'll see. Hacker is coming in with the ultimate.
They come through. The Rift Herald stolen by Hacker. And after the fight, the onslaught of shadows. The focus from Ultra Prime is a little bit scattered, though. BiuBiu makes it out. Yeah, it's going to come to fruition here. Team WE, they get out alive, but they lose the Rift Herald.
Yeah, and critically there, BiuBiu didn't actually have Smite available. It was a couple of seconds away when Ultra Prime charged in. The Herald was like 300 HP, so WE, little bit overzealous, didn't expect Ultra Prime to contest. And that's the thing, right? They spent so long trying to burn that package. It allowed ShiauC to come back and get back on the map. Now, still wasn't... Oh, Elf.
I was going to say, they had about a 20 CS lead or so just floating around that for Stay. But now that Kedaya has gone out of the lane and this has returned to normalcy, everything's even.
Yeah, and honestly, Ultra Prime getting the Herald, Ultra Prime being even in gold, really solid for them. We'll see the replay. So yeah, BiuBiu, you can look at the bottom of your screen, doesn't actually have the smite available, goes down to 90 health right at the end, able to go for BiuBiu, and they nearly kill him. The burn is coming through, and this flash shield from Kedaya keeps BiuBiu alive. And yeah, no one dies from WE. BiuBiu was definitely close, but Ultra Prime get the Herald and get the lead on that despite not getting any kills, and now stay forced to stay here, right? Ult comes out from ShiauC just to keep him on low HP, and this Ezreal is useless right now, really not enjoying being in the situation, and now going to be zoned away from the tower. So really nice heads up play. TP defense will come in, but Ultra Prime doing a good job of applying this pressure.
The stark contrast for ShiauC in the confidence we're seeing out of the Leona and how much he's playing forward now on the bot side, where they have been pressured the entire game. It seemed like Ultra Prime just finding their stride here so far as Rift Herald utilized in mid lane.
Yeah, critically, because they see the Ryze teleport bot, they know they have this window.
Wait,
oh, Realm War coming in.
Okay, they don't get a BiuBiu survives. Cryin does not though. ShiauC splashing in for the kill.
Overzealous there from Ultra Prime, right? They use the Herald. Great, you're gonna get 2 plates. They even get initial plate as well, so it's 3 in total. You're not gonna take the tower though, not when BiuBiu's there, not when the enemy team's moving. A big overstay results in a kill for WE and a plate for them, so a bit of a trade back thanks to that mistake from Cryin.
He just took 3 tower shots there. It's all mental advantage for Team WE. ShiauC just maybe getting reacquainted with the towers on Summoner's Rift in the LPL, but Team WE getting reacquainted with the dragon here, as second dragon of the game will go over.
And this is something they need to do. We talked about the early prio, mid, and bot should be leading to dragons, right? And on top of that, the package will be there to contest later dragons, so important they secure it. It's going to be a Cloud Soul. Not going to lie, Cloud Soul pretty nice for a team with a Hecarim. Ultra Prime will get a, but yeah, I mean, Cryin took a tower shot initially, but just a massive overstay. You're not going to take the tower there. It just ends up giving over a free kill. Now they are looking.
He's in some trouble here. BiuBiu getting the dive initiated on him, but they can't pull it off. The needlework already utilized by Aliez. BiuBiu steps forward, taking a little bit more damage, but the dive goes wide for Ultra Prime.
And you can see the difference when BiuBiu has the Shroud available. Remember that dive they made earlier was when it was on cooldown? Just able to pop it and not be targeted.
Oh, Stay has to pop the cleanse. Luckily, he is the Ezreal, and he has Kedaya backing him up, so that engage from ShiauC not finding too much. But you see the fear in Stay's eyes in that moment.
Yeah, Clan's been and Kedaya missing the mantra Q meant they weren't really even able to turn things around on Elk. Now, it is an Essence Fever complete for the Ezreal. Basically means you have infinite mana. We saw Stay before. That won't really happen again, just because every time you proc it, you get a fair bit of mana back. So you can easily just charge it back up again. So they'll be playing aggressive around bot once more, pushing in here. But look, Hacker is on his way. Has the ultimate. He's charging.
Don't want to overextend here, but there goes ShiauC. Hacker does have the Onslaught Shadows coming up soon, but it's not available yet. There he goes. He again initiates it. The double rockets are raining hell right now on the Team WE. ShiauC steps up, but is that going to be the difference? ShiauC goes in and dies. Here comes the devastating charge, but it's not pulled off. Aliez is on the side here now. The reinforcements are there, and Team WE, they're dusted. Aliez gets the kill into Kedaya.
Yeah, it feels like a pretty big overforce though, right? And it's 2 for 2 with the TP being burned from Ultra Prime, so not exactly ideal there. You can see this gives BiuBiu a little bit of alone time in the top lane. Might actually be able to get a plate here with this wave. So heavy committance from Ultra Prime, and it was honestly just a little bit of a missed execution. They couldn't find Stay. The CC didn't connect from ShiauC. Hacker not able to find their way in. And we'll see WE punish on the top side. So they will get a plate for the Akali on that tower. They will also steal away the red buff for ShiauC.
Get something back up there after that crazy fight. We'll see the initiation.
Yeah, so Zenith Blades onto Stay, but doesn't manage to get the stun afterwards. Flash away from the ultimate. The Stay's not really a great target. And then they do make a good call to burst BiuBiu. If BiuBiu survives here, he will start to get resets and be very scary. But at this point, the front line very low. ShiauC trades his life for a second engage. You quickly see that Hacker tries to do the same and just goes down. Just messy. Those two shouldn't be the ones diving in. But the problem was, because they committed the teleport, they were like, okay, teleport bid, we have to make this work. And they end up just trading 2 lives only for 1 on the back end.
I will say the eyes are still all on ShiauC. You know, coming in today, not having played in the split so far, coming in for Shanks, who we did feel like was a core reason why Team WE were able to find success. Now him finding success in game 1, now here in game 2, 2-0-2 on the Ryze, being able to be that extra mobility on the side of Team WE. We got to keep our close eye on this mid lane, as we do still have Cryin on the other side, whipping up a storm on this Corki.
Yeah, so has the TP and the package ready and available for the Herald. And it is going to now TP, and they really want to secure this one. And I think WE, you just let it go, right? It is going to mean your mid-tier 1 will likely get taken down by it. But at this point, you're not really in a position to contest. They'll apply some pressure on the bot side from BiuBiu. And critically, this means no package available for that dragon in a minute 15. So WE could well move towards securing that third one. And people always like to sort of slam Cloud Soul not being super valuable. There are certain champions who sync with it extremely well, right? Great example is Gwen or Hecarim. If Ultra Prime got Cloud Soul, it'd be fantastic. But even on the other side, just the passive movement speed 10% is pretty big.
I feel like movement speed in League is so underrated itself, and you know 100%. We get the movement speed now back with the Cloud Soul. It's so detrimental, especially if you're already in a deficit itself, right, where we're not too much of one here for Ultra Prime, but still scary to think about, as we did see the outer tower and bot lane fall to BiuBiu.
Especially with the Karma as well, being able to just speed everyone up at that point is really valuable. But yeah, I mean, mainly if Ultra Prime got Cloud Soul, I'd be extremely worried. So I like that WE have secured those 2 elite dragons. And now third one coming up, resets have come out from both sides to move over. No package for Cryin, and critically, if you look, he's not even in too much of a strong item point, right? Doesn't have the fully stacked mana immune, doesn't have that Luden's finished, can have a bit of a power drop right now. And we see as well, you know, Elk has that one item that Kraken say completed. Yes, Stay doesn't have his mana immune done, but working with a little bit more in terms of components of both teams. Posturing right now.
A little something here is the Shirelia's completed from Kedaya. The engage from ShiauC is already there, though. Can they turn it around? Oh my god, they actually found Peishong! But it's a trade back because Kedaya gets it right back. Ezreal will use the True Shot Barrage. Not going to find too much. It's just a trade back and forth, but Hacker is the one that's still alive and feels like Team WE lose out because they don't have their jungler.
Yeah, and I feel like WE, the health bar difference is a significant thing here, right? They engaged on a ShiauC, this tank Ryze. I mean, even though he's not really built too many tanky items, he's still already so bulky. Hard to burst down, and the turnaround damage, despite the fact it was a support for jungle, look how low Cryin is, right? Hacker had to clear a camp to heal up. WE can just apply this pressure and wait for their junglers to respawn, and they'll be really comfortable.
And Team WE, they actually looked like they wanted to do the dragon, but they went into mid lane instead. Elk has to burn his flash, but a decent amount of damage returned onto BiuBiu. I thought this was the moment that they could go up to Soul Point, but the confidence wasn't there. Now that they have Peishong back towards the bottom side, they will continue to force that. But look at top lane. Aliez is pushing the side lane and is just now going to be responded to by ShiauC.
Yeah, so I think the call there was wait for a jungler. We don't want to flip because it's very, very hard to keep a Hecarim out of smite range, because he'll just charge in, ult through, untargetable, and then try and contest it. So they wait for the jungler, and in the meantime, they just apply that pressure mid to force Ultra Prime back. Yes, Ultra Prime do manage to get a bit of alone time for Aliez in the top lane, but it is that third dragon for WE. The gold still pretty even, right? And I feel like as much as it's a positive you've secured those 3 dragons for WE, I am still concerned. You are up against a Gwen, a Corki, a Jinx. Going to the late game against those champions, not a fun time.
It is definitely not, but I will say being able to force macro decisions from Ultra Prime will be a good thing. The fact that they are on Soul Point here will dictate the next fights. If they can play off of the Baron, if they can play off of this map movement that they have going for themselves, and the speed, the mobility that Team WE have. As we do see ShiauC taking the top side of the map, we'll get that outer tower for Team WE.
And they will be on big spikes the next dragon, right? ShiauC's nearly going to have that Thimble one to finish. He's got the full stacks already. Day is going to have the mirror mana by that point. The 2 item for Ezreal, we always talk about how strong that is. So big spikes for them to play around for that soul. Now Herald's going to get thrown down. This actually might go down before charges. Ooh. Critically, no smite for Peishong available. If you had smite, they maybe would have been able to finish it off there. I think it was 9:15 when it charged. They might be able to get like an auto smite in, but unfortunately mid lane tier 1 goes down. That's the payoff Ultra Prime get. But now the response is coming in. BiuBiu on the flank.
Alright, BiuBiu is terrifying on this Akali. Will still burst people down even with the little bit of a tankier build here. Stay taking shots from the tower, though. I understand that they want to get the tower, but you cannot take that damage if you want to have a sustained fight. Ultra Prime pushed them off.
Yeah, a little bit desperate there to try and get it done. Now, Stay does have the red buff to heal up, and realistically, there's not anything really to play for right now. But still unable to pick up that tier 1. It is extremely low, so I don't think it's too much of an issue that survives for the time being. It's not even worth a particularly large amount of gold. We do see the reset start coming in. So Thimble Winter for ShiauC. Very big spike for the Ryze. Now super bulky and still outputting a good amount of damage. Stay has got that mirror mana completed, not quite fully stacked. This is kind of where WE's composition is hitting like the peak points for the itemization. Ultra Prime's composition will continue to scale exceptionally, especially into those team fights. So this next dragon will be a pivotal moment of this game.
And unfortunately for us, we still have a little while till that's going to happen, which having only 9 kills in 21 minutes is a way to go about it in the LPL, but I'm expecting a lot of explosions here in the next 5 minutes or so when we start getting those forced fights over the dragons, when we start getting a little bit more decided here on the map. True Shot Barrage takes health down to about half, and the mid tower will fall to CWE as well.
Yeah, they finally get the mid tower. Now is also an opportunity where if you end up burning things like summoners, they're not going to be available for the dragon fight. Sometimes you see teams opt into aggressive fights, burn the enemy's flash, ulta back up for the dragon. That window is starting to close now. Minute 45. Be a little bit longer before we start getting the resets coming in, and vision needs to be established in the area. Already Hacker is moving through, trying to sweep out, but we'll think twice moving through when he's isolated and alone.
Luden's Echo just now completed with that Gromp take from Cryin. So at least you have the 2 items spike there as well, just getting ready for this 1.5-minute timer that Ultra Prime seemed to be on.
Yeah, resets coming out. So critically, Kedaya reset with the full inventory of wards. You can see they're moving over, but already there's a little bit of vision there for WE. Ultra Prime have nothing, right? They have no wards in the vicinity. It's going to be very hard to approach. The big thing is they have the Corki, right? The Corki is such a massive advantage because you just charge forward, slam some poke down, really helps you to make your way in. But they need to start moving there now. A minute before, Cryin will recall pretty shortly to grab the package, but already it's WE have control of the area, and they can start layering down some poke from this Ezreal.
And we've got similar spikes. This is the moment that Ultra Prime can take an even fight, it seems like, right? We have 2 item spikes for a majority of everybody on both teams. ShiauC takes the Zenith Blade on Bayshot. Not exactly who you want to engage on there, and immediately pulls back. The Team WE keeping the pressure here, and BiuBiu on the side of with the flank as well.
Yeah, now Cryin is recalling. What he actually did was he used all of his rockets so he could reset the package. But the problem is, you're no longer posturing. Look how low Elk is, right? Already, the poke coming in return is more significant. I feel like Cryin should have just grabbed the package earlier, because now they have 20 seconds. And look at that dragon area. No vision at all. There's an Akali who's permanently trying to flank. This is very
They got it. ShiauC goes in unstable, but the cleanses pop. Package still not used. Cryin goes in, but the rest of his team is getting taken out of the back. Stay is still alive, and Team WE, they get 1, but do they get chased down here? Hacker is down, no jungler, which means the dragon is free, but Stay gets taken out by the rockets. And this is the double rocket composition. This is the setup for Ultra Prime. As they move in, Beishang is still alive, still there, but Team WE actually back out of the fight.
Yeah, and Ultra Prime just play this slow, right? You wait for your jungler to respawn. It is a Hecarim, you can get that fast. But look, TP flank coming in. I think this is both of them.
They got double TPs in Team WE. BiuBiu already so low, but look at ShiauC. ShiauC separating them. BiuBiu down now, but ShiauC is making it happen. No, he's down. He's separated now as well. Beishang tries to go for the Heartbreaker, but can't find it. This is such a split fight. Hacker has found ShiauC, and Beishang has to get out. This is tragedy for Team WE. They get wiped.
WE overforced there. As much as ShiauC was doing so much in the backline, they were too deep. There wasn't the follow-up from the team. And now Ultra Prime able to secure the dragon, despite the fact that WE managed to take out the enemy jungler. They don't win the extended play. They'll secure that dragon and deny the soul from WE. Critical to be able to secure that. And Elk as well, 3-0-3 now on the Jinx, picked up so much in that fight.
Getting the check marks in the win conditions for Ultra Prime. I just still cannot believe that Team WE let themselves be dragged into a fight like that.
Yeah, so this was just the initial setup was kind of messy from Ultra Prime. The fight comes out, but Hacker just gets deleted so quickly. off the start. And then it's only Cryin with the clutch rocket coming in later that actually makes this close, right? If stays alive here, definitely problematic, but he's hanging around way too low. And then this is when they teleport in together, but look how far away the rest of the team is. BiuBiu just gets chunked out by the AoE instantly. The follow-up isn't really there, and he's doing so much here, but eventually runs out of cooldowns, and they are just shredding through his health bar.
Yeah, a couple of those skill shots going wide would have made a big difference, especially on the Cryin there, but Hacker coming in clutch at the last moment, right? He was the first one to get caught in Ultra Prime schemes, but he comes back clutch. I feel like that's been a consistent thing happening in this series so far, is the fights go on so long that the resets are there, and we're getting the addition of dead members into the ends of fights.
Especially when it's a Hecarim. I find it so funny how quickly you can get back on the map. It kind of reminds me of, you know, ages ago we had top lane Hecarim and he would rush home guard.
The home guard boots and just get to lane in like 2 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so funny.
That was my go-to. That was like my first champion in League of Legends, by the way. Top lane Hecarim. Don't judge me here.
What an abuser. Now you can see ShiauC constantly fishing for these engages. Remember, no cleanse. It is coming up soon for stay, but it's not quite available yet, and no flash. So Ultra Prime feeling confident on the fight.
There's ARAM gaming going on right now. Team WE back out of that ARAM gaming as Heartbreaker used by BeiSheng. Luckily, the cooldown pretty short on that one.
Yeah, but I like the moves from Ultra Prime, just forcing pressure. Look at these engage windows, and this is why WE are playing scared, right? Because the engage is in the hands of Ultra Prime. There isn't really great engage tools from WE other than just run at Ultra Prime.
Got a lot of peel back tools, but that doesn't help the initiation. Oh my god, BeiSheng is just dead to Elk. Elk on the side, but he's not dead just yet. ShiauC finds him, but can't get the blasting damage. They still can't get him. Team WE, what is happening? The Mega Death Rocket on the side. ShiauC dies, and Ultra Prime are fighting it all here. Devastating charge onto BiuBiu. BiuBiu dies to Hacker, and they're pinging onto the Baron now.
And I just don't know why WE were opting into that, right? They're just sitting there and waiting until Ultra Prime get engaged. Eventually they do. ShiauC does just get over the wall there without getting pushed up. It's now 5 members strong. Stay in Kedaya. They have to try and poke them off, but it is so risky, so dangerous.
Barrage not available. Can't get the steal damage in there. They just back off, and the Baron secured by Ultra Prime. What a turnaround.
It was so close. So many clutch moments that allowed them to deny the soul and get the advantages in this fight. But, I mean, they're just staying around for so long. BeiSheng keeps trying to look for, I don't know what, right? Keep dashing forwards, but you don't have your ult, you don't have your flash. And Ultra Prime are the ones who have the hard engage tools. So they find this window where BeiSheng just dashes forward, instantly pierced out. And then look at this beautiful ultimate by Hacker. Fears the 2 targets running at Elk. Yes, Elk still gets chunked, but he manages to disrupt the Akali, save his AD carry. ShiauC then goes down thanks to the super mega death rocket, sorry. And then BiuBiu gets taken down in the follow-up. So Ultra Prime just expertly playing that fight in that one. Really heads to play, but I have to question WE. It feels like they're just trying to like posture when they don't have anything to back them up.
They're getting dragged into the playstyle that Ultra Prime wants. They're being taken advantage of here by Ultra Prime's composition. And something I want to reiterate on what we talked about was Team WE needed to get a snowball going. Ultra Prime, you do not want to go against this team as we get later into the game. And we're about to crest that 30-minute mark. And Ultra Prime have found themselves a constant lead here. 4,000 gold in the advantage. And they're finding side lane pressure. Might be a little bit too much, though.
Aliez
Look at the rockets. The Cryin just killing people. Oh my god. Aliez gets the kill. Here comes Hacker. Do they just keep going? Does the carousel keep turning? The horsey wants it. Here comes the Realm War from ShiauC, but Hacker is still here. Cryin dashes away as well, and Hacker separating them. Now Ultra Prime are here. Mega Death Rocket connects onto 2. Everfrost used to stay the advance of Ultra Prime, but Ultra Prime will take it. They will continue to shove this snowball down Team WE's base.
I mean, they're just crushing them, and look at Elk on this Jinx. 405, 3 items and change with the stopwatch and the crit cloak. And look, he's just doing so much damage, so long range, so hard for them to deal with because they don't have the engage tool.
The excited buff is down now from Elk, and ShiauC says he needs to go forward. True Shot Barrage across the broad, but it's not going to be enough. Cryin has the package available, lands 1 rocket, BiuBiu backs. But the pressure in the mid lane is still there for Ultra Prime as well if they want to continue to push. But it feels like they're fine backing off of this. They've already gotten what they came for.
Yeah, they can spend a bit of gold and also pick up that dragon, make sure that we aren't able to secure the soul. More movement speed for the team. Remember, they did change the Cloud Soul, give movement speed.
Cryin's damage is going to be insane, man.
It is so
like 6
nuts. I mean,
rockets.
it's already nuts. This is what happens when the Corki snowballs so incredibly hard.
And we do see that adaptation. We had seen the Ravenous Hydra already both games before, but now it's the Maw coming out from Cryin, realizing that the AP burst damage coming out from TWE is something to be dealt with.
And the thing is, it's kind of hit the point where it's a 7,000 gold lead, right? I am struggling to see the angle. I'm struggling to see the angle for WE, right? Especially as like Soul, even if they got Cloud Soul, it's not that much combat power, right? Again, movement speed's underrated. There's definitely value to it, but it's not going to make you do more damage, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to make you survive more hits on like Infernal and like Mountain. It's going to make you faster, but at the end of the day, I feel like you can be as fast as you want. You're still just going to get beaten out by the raw stats of Ultra Prime. Level 16 on all their carries. The Gwen, the Jinx, and the Corki. And look at the harass coming down.
True Barrage gets about half of Elk's health bar down, but it's still the pressure from Ultra Prime here. This is where, you know, Team W want to wait for a mistake of Ultra Prime, want to capitalize on one of those mistakes. They don't really have the composition to have that instant turnaround, that instant engage. And we said that was one of the biggest issues for Team W's composition, is they almost just dies to the Super Mega Death Rocket, but they just don't have that consistency right now in their composition.
Yeah, and this is why we see a lot less enchanters in the LPL. Teams relying on the engage tools that the supports often offer. The Leona and the North
on the side. This is it. Team WE want to take it. ShiauC stopped on the side. He's in. He's got the Everfrost. Can they do it? The resets are there for BeiSheng if he can. Heartbreaker's there. BiuBiu is getting the damage done. But look at Aliez. He's still in there on the Gwen. Cryin still alive as well, but it's a 2v4. Can they get out? Aliez sacrifices his life. And this is what we talk about. There is never a sure thing as Team WE take out Ultra Prime.
The flank is the critical element. They make it so Elk isn't able to fight. They have the Akali coming from one side, the Ryze from the other. And the thing that was different about the previous fights is that it was synced, right? Everyone was there to threaten at the same time. They take down the Jinx, and it just feels like there wasn't enough gas in the tank afterwards. We'll see the replay of this. So Relvo comes in as BiuBiu is flanking. And look, the front line commit their tools onto BeiSheng. They now try and turn around. ShiauC flashes in for the root. Obviously, Elf does stopwatch, but you're now trapped in the middle. And Hacker a little bit early with that ultimate. Fear ended by the time the stopwatch ended, and they just instantly take out that AD carry.
BiuBiu's mechanics in that fight were actually pretty nuts. I mean, he was in the middle of the thick of things, still finding Elk as well, and then getting Cryin outside of the fight there. BiuBiu coming in clutch in the later parts, but it's the holistic advance from Ultra Prime that was just capitalized on by Team WE. That's exactly what you want, right? So in these kinds of situations, in these series, when we're at the bottom of the standings, it's all about capitalizing on mistakes. And Ultra Prime definitely got caught there with their hand in the cookie jar.
100%. And also, I feel like one thing is Elk hasn't opted for the low doms yet, right? When you look at the enemy team, has a very tanky. That's a tanky Viego. That's, you know, even a fairly tanky Akali with the Riftmaker, but the Ryze as well. Like, you kind of need someone to cut through them, right? Corki got the void stuff now, so the penetration's there, but Corki, AP Corki, not the best at cutting through tanks, right? And I feel like Elk just does have the GA as a defensive tool, but she is very bulky right now.
Prime moving in the mid lane. BeiSheng on
the
side
BiuBiu
here. Got to be a little bit careful as BeiSheng actually connects it. Elk in some trouble, but ShiauC is the one that's really in some trouble here. ShiauC tries to connect the prison. Won't do it just yet as Hacker making his way out of there with devastating charge. That means Team WE turn right onto the Baron.
Yeah, resets will come in. Cryin, I think, might have the package up pretty soon, and they will force them away. There's vision there. They're not going to do it. Now, Dragon in 45 seconds. Package going to get picked up. This is a big tool for Ultra Prime.
They're going to force this.
Super minions pressuring.
They can't do anything about it. I mean, BiuBiu can clear this, but they're losing a big member, and TP's there, but can they get there in time? Team WE are trying to keep Hacker out of the pit. Hacker a little bit low, but the shielding coming out from Kedaya helps keep Team WE in the fight. The bottom lane is cleared now, and Kedaya is in front of everybody. BiuBiu can TP if he finds the ward, but their base is getting pushed in by these minions.
I think Ultra Prime, you just need to back away from the Baron and move over the Dragon. I think started there was so risky. Hacker ends up so low. They are going to start it again, though. They want this fight. They want to play around the package. And it's up to WE to push in.
Hacker now joining already at half health is the Baron. Hacker having some trouble getting into the pit, but he has the onslaught of shadows. Baron getting so low. BiuBiu not here just in time. The Baron is secured by Elk, but can the fight go after? ShiauC dies on the side, and now it's a 5v4. But no, it's evened up now, as you've still got Cryin, you've still got Elk. The main carries we've set up from the beginning, and you've got to target them down. You have to find a way to get them, but you just can't. Aliez dies, and it is huge for Ultra Prime. ShiauC chased down here. Kedaya just left out, but Elk and Cryin are the ones that are still alive. Hacker, the facilitator. ShiauC will go down.
They managed to find the Baron and the fight. Remember, Hacker committed his ultimate.
Kedaya, what are you doing?
Oh, he was trying to clear the wave so they couldn't end. Critically, Beisheng, the only one who's going to respawn in time. Ultra Prime don't need the dragon. They have the Baron to push mid. They win the team fight, even though Hacker uses his ult to get over the wall. Even though no combat value from the Hecarim at the start of the fight, they still have enough gas in the tank. They still have the lead. And they'll close out this series 2-1.
The reverse sweep from Ultra Prime coming from game number 1, where they were literally beaten into the dirt by Team WE. They come out and whack them right back. What a turnaround from Ultra Prime. What a turnaround from these dual carries, and especially Hacker on the Hecarim. The entire team